What was your favourite book when you were a child?
It's always very difficult thinking back to one's favourite book as a child because different times there were different favourite books. But the book that I remember best, that I go back to in times of wanting to have a quiet moment of reflection, is a book by Rosemary Sutcliffe called Warrior Scarlet. And why it appealed to me is very hard to say. It's about a boy with a withered arm in the Iron Age who can't get his place in the tribe because he can't kill a wolf. I probably read it once a year even now.
Even now?
Well, yes, because there is a special thing about reading a book that you loved as a child. It takes you back to that time. Typically, if you ask people about their favourite book as a child, or the book that made them a reader, which I think is another way of looking at it, they can remember a fantastic amount about it. They can often remember who gave it to them, or who read it to them, or where they read it, and I have exactly that experience with that book.
When you were a small child, who read to you? Your mother or your father?
Well, I'm the third of 4 children, and this is a terrible thing to say, but I don't think anybody read to me. I think I remember listening in on my older sisters being read to. So I was the youngest of 3 girls, and then I've got a younger brother. And I very much remember my mother reading the Laura Ingalls Wilder Little House on the Prairie sequence to my brother. And that's when I heard them too. I certainly never had them read to me. And then my father read me Rumer Godden's Mouse House. And again, this is a very profound memory, probably because he didn't actually very often read aloud. So it's logged in my brain as something that he read to me.
And who read to your children, you or your husband?
Well, that's interesting, because if I think back to it, I think perhaps because I worked in books and my husband didn't, he seems to have done more of the reading aloud than I did. He loved reading aloud. He has incredible stamina for it, and he would read for an hour quite happily. I think at the end of a working day, it was quite a nice thing for him to do.
Do you have a favourite children's writer?
I think my favourite author at the moment is Philip Pullman. I think he gave us a classic book in Northern Lights, the first of his Dark Materials trilogy, which opened up to a very wide range of children what imaginative fiction can be at its best. And there's nothing that Philip has written that isn't interesting, beautifully crafted, surprising, and a story that you reflect on. He raises so many questions, giving openings for children to think. That's the best kind of writing as far as I'm concerned. So if you ask me now of a contemporary writer, he would be the person who I think is the greatest.